They didn't lock the trick in some ancient vault. They slid it into your scroll and dressed it up as harmless. Divide and Conquer didn't retire. Instead, it moved into your feed.
Thus did man become the architect of his own demise.
You felt that moment, right? That off-kilter dinner table moment when someone you love suddenly speaks a language you don't recognize. That gut sync moment on your phone when you think, how could anyone believe this? It's not an abstract concept. It's your friends, your family, and sometimes even you. The problem isn't only what people believe, it's how belief is shaped quietly, click by click. Picture a quiet room, one face lit by a phone which feels ordinary, but when you zoom all the way out, there are billions of rooms just like it, glowing at once, teaching the same machine. This isn't a new trick, it's just wearing Wi-Fi. Rome created rumors to splinter tribes. Colonial powers mapped suspicion into borders. Newspapers sold outrage by the inch. Today the feed is just the mask pulled tighter. How does this ancient trick slip into our lives now? And why does it feel airtight once it locks in? And what happens when societies drift into parallel yet sealed realities? If we miss it, the cost isn't just lost hours. It's a broken compass spinning in your hand until every path looks crooked. By the end, we will unpack how Divide and Conquer got repackaged for the digital age and how we step outside its grip. You treat your feed like background noise, recipes, memes, vacation pics. Look closer, there's an itch you can't name, the quiet hum you can't switch off.
Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life.
A decade back, social media felt clunky but human. There were blurry photos, crooked captions, a cousin typing in all caps. Then the order flipped. Chronological posts gave way to posts chosen for you. It felt efficient, but it was the first quiet brick in a wall. And walls rarely announce themselves, and you only notice them when you hit one. Check this announcement. It promises, see more of what you love. Look closer and you can feel the handoff. The mirror becomes a filter. Your feed stopped reflecting and started manipulating. Have you ever asked, why am I seeing this? Did you brush it off or feel that small unease in your chest? We call it personalization, even a shortcut. In practice, it was prediction. The system wasn't serving you, it was betting on how to keep you from putting the phone down. Studies show that when people are pushed towards views that clash with their own, they usually don't open up, but instead they dig deeper. Algorithms learned this fast. If anything makes you close the app, the feed trims it out. What's left is a bubble where it feels like everyone thinks the way you do. That illusion feels safe. And that safety hardens into certainty. It's like shouting into a canyon that only echo your own words back, louder each time until it feels like consensus. I loved it for a while. Midnight scrolling felt flattering, like the app knew me. Then I realized I hadn't seen a single disagreeing voice in days. My world had shrunk into a mirror I had never asked for. When a system edits voices, it also edits your daily life. Pre-packaged reality then stops being a reflection and becomes a mask. You think you're browsing, but you're actually being nudged down paths you never meant to take, so the cost lands in your actual life, and it doesn't stay on your screen. You feel it before you can name it. A tight chest, a quick fuse, and the urge to win a common thread you didn't start.
A story we agreed to tell each other over and over till we forget that it's a lie.
Online heat travels. It sits at breakfast, it rides to work, and it fogs the living room. We avoid certain topics, even mute certain relatives just to keep the peace. We trade honesty for silence, but somehow the room gets louder. If silence is our survival plan, what are we preserving and what are we spending? Relax, mute a few words, block a few trolls, you'll be fine. That sounds reasonable, except the system profits when you're not fine. Calm ends the scroll, conflict feeds it. Have you looked across a table and felt someone you love turned into a stranger? Not because they changed, but because your feed pulled them into a different weather system. James Baldwin once said, "Not everything that's faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it's faced." Pretending the fracture isn't there doesn't heal it, it hardens it. Dodging the fight looks like safety. Every dodge is another lock on the door, and one day the key doesn't fit anymore. Public health warnings link chronic online conflict and comparison with anxiety and isolation. Outsourced attention brings tension home, even when no one speaks. Arguing online is like running in jeans on a treadmill. You sweat, chafe, and stay right where you started. I've been in those moments where a loved one's words land like lines from a script I didn't know they were reading. Same face, same voice, but the story no longer feels shared. Avoid the fracture long enough and the room empties. Today an awkward pause, tomorrow an absence. And when only disagreement remains, conversation melts into echo. So we reach for quick medicine, a witty reply, a credible study link, or a firmer voice. You push harder, you explain longer, and even raise your voice, hoping logic will crack the wall. But what if the louder we shout, the thicker the walls get?
Money is the McMansion in Sarasota that starts falling apart after 10 years. Power is the old stone building that stands for centuries.
We all know the itch to set the record straight. You comment, cite, fact check. It feels noble. Then the flames rise. The more you try to fix it, the more it spikes. What if the tools we're using to try and heal are actually sharpening the blade? Ever leave an online exchange buzzing, not with clarity, but with static in your lungs? Karl Popper warned that weak arguments can be strengthened when challenged. Attack them head on and you feed them oxygen. The friction becomes reinforcement. You assume debate leads to truth, but in the wrong arena, debate becomes gasoline. A pylon with thousands of replies, a comment war under a video, headlines on rising polarization, dueling stitches that never end. This isn't conversation, it's a circus, and the circus sells tickets. If you have drafted that perfect 2 a.m. reply and felt your stomach drop 10 minutes later, you know the ringmaster. Correcting misinformation in the comments is water on a grease fire, sensible for a second, then the flames leap higher. Threat triggers identity defense, conflict heals engagement, so sparks get amplified. Spectacle has always drawn crowds, from stone arenas to pixel arenas. I once posted a careful, credible comment. 10 replies later, I wasn't winning. I was stoking the bonfire. My clever line was actually kindling. Debate turns into performance, and the machine behind it turns a profit. You step away scorched, not settled, and then a worse thought creeps in. Maybe the topic isn't the point, but us fighting is. 2,000 years ago, crowds packed arenas not to solve disputes, but to feed a need. Bread in one hand, sword in the other. People left sure they had seen truth, but they had watched theater. That's the oldest trick in the book, now dressed in notifications. The marble is gone, the stage remains. The fights are faster, the seats are endless, and the tickets are free. You pay with your time and your attention. It looks like chaos, but if you watch closely, the steps repeat. And if there's choreography, there must be a choreographer. You think you're steering, but look closer. Your hands are holding the wheel, but the vehicle is steering itself.
You know what I noticed? Nobody panics when things go according to plan. Even if the plan is horrifying.
You open an app to check one message, then come up for air 40 minutes later. Instinctively, you blame willpower. The truth is simpler and sharper. The system aims at our soft spots, our habits, our hopes, our need to belong, and our fury. If it's not a willpower problem, what is it then? Watch this countdown ring before autoplay. 5 quiet seconds. It's not decoration, it's a handoff. In that 5 seconds, choice slides from your hand to the systems. You say one more, but the interface said it first. When did a quick check-in steal an hour you meant to give to someone you love? Marshall McLuhan said, "The medium is the message. Build an app like a slot machine and it hooks us with the same pool, even if the prize is just cat videos." You think stricter rules will save you. Rules fade when clever and addictive design meets frictionless scroll. Behavior happens when motivation, ability, and a prompt meet. Infinite scroll and autoplay crank ability to effortless and fire constant prompts. Even a tiny bit of motivation becomes action when friction disappears. Novelty spikes dopamine, intermittent rewards keep you pulling, page breaks vanish, friction evaporates, you slide without seams, conversation turns into attention hoarding. Put it all together and it stops being a circus and it becomes a conveyor belt. You thought your preferences shaped the feed, but in actual fact the feed shaped your preferences, then sells them back to you as you. Miss this and you lose more than hours. You lose authorship. Choices feel secondhand and relationship starts to blur, and your conviction arrive preloaded. This isn't random, it's the oldest strategy, divide to conquer. Empires ran it and now platforms scaled it. You think you're choosing, but the options are chosen for you. And choices arrive shrink wrapped, so the fix starts with design. And design can be seen, named, and resisted. What if the exit isn't heroic discipline, but seeing small cracks in the spell?
And if you're worried that socializing on a computer is replacing actual human contact, observers say, don't.
Every trick needs misdirection. The scroll feels airtight until you see the scaffolding underneath. It weakens the illusion. What does it look like to spot the seam in real time? Have a look at this failed magic trick. Watch a card flash too early. The spell thins. That's the same feeling when you spot the autoplay timer, the suggested follow, the tiny red dot that isn't urgent at all. The trick keeps running, but its grips loosen. What is one nudge in your own scroll that once you named it, you couldn't unsee it? We assume escape needs iron discipline. The real lever is awareness. Once a trick is visible, it loses bite. Seeing the trick shifts you from fast automatic reactions to slow deliberate control. Autopilot clicks off and you start moving with intention again. It's like realizing the haunted house monster is just a person in sneakers. You still jump, but for a different reason this time. I noticed my mornings serve the same 3 accounts in the same order. That's not organic, that's choreography. Naming it cracked the spell. I didn't quit the app overnight. I did roll my eyes the next time that happened though, which gave me more control than a dozen digital detoxes promised. Look at this absurd clip from Monty Python. Grown people in suits take ridiculous steps with perfect seriousness. That's an algorithm deciding who you should love or hate. Nonsense in a suit that we accept because it looks official. Division feels inevitable while the spell holds. But spells are fragile. One slip, one named nudge, and the illusion starts to thin. And when it thins, a question opens. If the trick has loosened its grips on you, what story do you want to step into next? We set out to expose how an empire-old tactic found Wi-Fi. Here it is. Divide and conquer did not die, it scaled. The feed only nudges, it doesn't define you. See the choreography and the grip weakens. That midnight glow wasn't guidance, just a lantern painted on glass. Real direction comes from the steps we take together. Tonight, flip one lever. Swap a shortcut app from your home screen. Set one boundary. Write a few lines in your notes app instead of opening the feed. You're not fixing the internet, you're reclaiming the ground under your feet. If we treat the feed like theater and not an oracle, we take our agency back and the veil starts to lift. The oldest trick in the book only works if we keep falling for it. The scroll isn't endless. Close the tab, step outside. Hear the real wind in real trees. That's a feed worth following. If this stirred something in you, pass it on with care, not outrage. That's how the oldest trick in the book finally loses its audience.